Hey everybody, I just realized I was actually broadcasting to my personal page and not to the group page. So thanks you to everybody for joining me. Do me a favor and go ahead and let me know where you're coming in from. We are live at 5 here in commercial sales for realtors. And let me know where you're hailing from. I'm really interested to see kind of where folks are, where they are, how their day is going, so forth. It is Monday. Hopefully you guys hit the ground running. One of the most important days of the week is Monday because it kind of sets the pace for the week. So, a lot of people just want to survive Monday. Hopefully you guys are thriving. Hopefully you got your prospecting in this morning and so forth. So let's see what you got. So, as I started to talk about before, this particular topic that we're going to be going over today is very near and dear to my heart. And the reason is it brings me back, right? It brings me back to my first year in brokerage when I was wet behind the ears and I was really trying to figure things out. And it's great because now I get to hear from my students, when they get done with their first year in commercial, what things they would have done differently, right? So what things would they wish they had done better or differently or what have you. So that's what I'm going to go over. And hopefully, it is my sincere hope that anyone coming through listening to this gets a chance to really evaluate and figure out, okay, listen, this is not for me. I don't want to do this particular model or this particular way of prospecting or this particular thing. That didn't work for me. Because really the key to really getting your own business model that dialed in is really finding out what works for your strengths. I always say, and it's like a Gary Vee quote, right? You want to play to your strengths. You want to double down on your strengths. Forget your weaknesses because everyone's got them. Just work on what you're strong at. And rather than spending all your waking hours getting better at things you're bad at, hire for that and just concentrate on what the things you're good at, your God-given gifts, if you will. Right. So, by the way, I see a few people hopping on. Why don't you let me know kind of where you're coming in from? I'd like to see what's happening, what's going on your guys' side of the world. So if you can, let me know. Meanwhile, so like I said, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to get some feedback from one of my students, and she actually absolutely crushed it her first year. But it was a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. But this is kind of like a 12-month recap, and I think you guys will find it insightful. So we're just going to wait for another couple of folks to hop on, and we'll get started in just a second. Douglas, welcome from Hartford, Connecticut. Awesome, cool, East Coast. I like it. Up in the Northeast, man, you guys love to grind. I'm a Jersey guy myself, so I really love that spirit of the Northeast, Really, really cool. A lot of stuff gets done. How are things going on your side? Staying busy? How would you rate the market where you're in on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of like market velocity? Is it crazy, Douglas? Just out of curiosity, because I've been hearing stuff. I have students in 4 different time zones, and I swear when I speak to people, I hear the exact same story over and over. And the market is cranking. There's 10 offers for every house that's out there. There's buyers galore. Not enough inventory on the market. All these things. So hopefully, you guys have some opportunities and stuff like that. And that's why, one of the reasons why I created this group is to create an environment where people can look for another opportunity because things are so nuts on the residential side right now, and I keep telling people that there's not that big of a gap between the residential side and the commercial side. Now, if you ask most commercial agents, they'll tell you, oh, no, you won't be able to find out or figure it out and so forth. No one wants to help. But at the end of the day, there really, there really isn't that big of a difference. Just jumping in on the commercial side, but is really killing it, and commercial is the same. Awesome. Cool. Yep. I love to hear it. Things are popping. The nice thing on commercial is our country is coming back to life. We were, basically in a coma for the last 12 months, struggling, trying to get things going together. And little by little, we're starting to open up again. The CDC just dropped the mask mandate here in Florida. So we're really like, people are starting to get out more. Vaccinations are hitting, and hopefully in your state, things are starting to open up a bit too. So But like I said, I'll just want to wait for another couple folks to hop on the line, and then we will get going. But again, tonight's subject is going to be the 10 mistakes to avoid your first year in commercial. The way I look at putting together your business plan is like kind of like going down a dark alley, right? You get down to the end, you find, oh darn, there's a detour, or I get to the end here, it's a dead end. Oh, and it's a brick wall, and sooner or later you're poking through the dark, and next thing you know, it's going to open up and it's going to be bright lights, and you're going to say, why didn't I find this sooner? Why didn't I figure this out sooner? So my hope is that I can show you a few dark alleys. So the idea is really to show you, trying to shine some light on it for you folks, at least give you an idea of what other people have seen. And incidentally, probably about 7 out of 10 of these mistakes that my one student, Katie, gave me from her first year were things that I went through as well. So you're going to find that, if you're at least aware of them, you might be able to avoid them a little bit better, So I see a few more people hopping on the line. Let me know where you're from, what your sub-market is, or what market you're serving. But glad to have you guys here. So I'll go ahead and get started, right? So the top 10 mistakes. It's so important to be able to know where you're heading, right? And begin with the end in mind. Now, what's helpful is if you know what streets not to turn down, you'll increase your chances greatly of knowing what streets to turn down, right? So coming in at the top of the list, we're going to do this old school Johnny Carson style. So at the top of the list, mistake number 10 to avoid is make sure you dedicate time to research your farm area. Right? So wherever you are looking, it's important for you to take time to research. Some people just want to act, and not take time to understand the market, not understand who the players are in the market. Because in commercial, the better you can identify who the players are, the better off you're going to be. You can shoot and then aim, or you can take your time, line up your target, and then shoot at it. That's really going to be where the rubber meets the road. So by all means, take the time to research and understand. The nice thing about commercial, the way that it's different in one of the respects from residential, is that residential buyers, most people, they change homes, I think, every 6, 7, 10 years, something like that. 7 was always the number that I always heard. I heard it's getting longer now. But the point being is what you want to really focus in on is that commercial properties, for instance, you wind up seeing, if you were to research this geographical square in your city or in your town or your county or what have you, what you'll find is that there's a lot of people that own 1, 2 properties, but then you get to 20% of the people might own 50, 60, 70% of the properties, because sometimes they're big real estate investment trusts, also called a REIT. They're these big institutional investors, and they own a ton. Maybe for some reason they like your area and they own a lot of properties in it. So if you take the time to research your area, you might find that XYZ Corp owns a lot of property there. And so if you bring a property to market, the first person I would call is XYZ Corp. I would call the big boys and find out who the biggest guys on the block are, and go ahead and market to them first. Because the only thing better than making $1 for your time is making $2 for the same amount of time. And if you get a chance and you research your market area, you'll know who the people are, who the usual suspects are, and to market to them directly, you greatly increase your chances of double ending a deal or getting the sell side and the buy side of the transaction. Okay, which can add up in commercial to big dollars. So that's tip number 1. Also, mistake number 10. So mistake number 9 is learning the forms and the contracts that you need to have, and also being very organized with the deadlines that you're setting up. Now, what do I mean by that? So with any sort of transaction-based business, you have to be highly organized and highly detail-oriented. If you are not, things are going to pass you by, opportunities will pass you by, and unfortunately, you won't be able to keep track, and sooner or later, you will have all these opportunities where at the end of the day, you're gonna lose money because you're not as organized as you should be. So make sure you understand all your paperwork, make sure you understand all what you're signing when you're signing an NDA or when you're signing any sort of forms that you put yourself at risk. If you break it, then you can have liability. And also make sure you line up all your deadlines. Make sure your calendar is your brain. We get inundated with so many details, it is absolutely impossible for it to keep them all in our brain. So make your calendar your brain and work from your calendar, okay? So, and putting necessary dates in terms of when things need to be signed, when due diligence periods are ending, very, very important, because it can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars in terms of, if a deposit that's at risk and so forth. The deposit could be several hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's something to keep in mind, right? The next one is, be sure to qualify your buyers. What does that mean? Before you wind up putting someone in your car, make sure you understand, are they motivated? Why are they motivated? Are they financially capable of taking care of this? Are you speaking to the decision maker, right? I have a formula, it's called the Minute Maid, MIMMADE, and basically it spells out all the necessary steps that you need to take any buyer you might work with. It could be a buyer, it could be a tenant looking for space, but before you crack open that car door and you let someone hop in your car and you start driving them around showing properties, make sure that you have, in the beginning, I know what it's like, right? You want to help people so bad. You want to make your first, commission. You want to make your first transaction. You'll do anything you can to run. Someone can fog up a mirror and they have a pulse. Cool. Hop in my car and I'm going to show you all around the city and show you how much I know. As opposed to kind of taking a step back and be like, okay, wait a minute. I want to help them, but I can only help people that are ready to be helped. I can only help people that are willing to be able to help. And finally, I can only help people that are able to be helped. So you got to make sure that they are ready, they are willing, they are able, and you do that by qualifying them properly. As a raise of hands, right? How many of you have worked with an unqualified buyer, an unqualified someone that's looking for, in this case it would be lessee? How many of you have done that? I am super guilty of that. I've done it because you get happy ears, you hear what you want to hear because you're so anxious to get a deal done. You're so eager, especially when you first start out in your career. At a certain point, you go through enough people that just kind of run you around and waste your time. You say, time out, I don't want to do this. I want to make sure that if I'm going to be spending my time, which is so precious with these people, that they are ready and willing and able, okay? So, next one, learn to ask questions before taking someone out. So what that comes down to is like I mentioned in the previous step, qualifying them, right? But you need to understand their business as well as they do. Because if you don't understand, once you've qualified them, right, you have to understand what they're looking for. Right? You have to understand. And what that'll do is I will never take somebody out on a tour and so forth unless I have seen their facility, right? So why would I do that? In 15 minutes of walking around someone's facility, I will be able to tell, are there, let's say it's a warehouse, are the boxes stacked to the roof and all the way out? Are there the cars and trucks all over the parking lot? Those are surefire signs that they don't have enough space and they need to expand. Or is the place half full and they're just kind of poking around and looking to waste an agent's time in order to find a new location? Maybe they're looking for a deal. I got news for you. If you rented your place 3 years ago, compared to what today's market is doing, because the economy's been slowly upticking for the last 10 or 12 years, you're not going to find a deal. It's not going to just come out there and bite you. So you're going to wind up wasting your time if you find someone that just is not motivated because of necessity, but because of budget. That's price motivated, in my opinion, is not motivated, okay? So make sure you go to someone's location and make sure that they actually need what they say they need. And more importantly, you might see something that, what a lot of people want to do is they want to go out and they do a search and they'll send someone a big list of properties and they go drive around. It's far more effective. That 15-minute site visit will save you hours of your time, because if you see something that they didn't mention on the phone, then it'll trigger in your brain. You'll say, wait a minute, wait. When he or she told me this, I didn't get it. But when you saw it at the site location, you'll understand, oh, that's why they want a ramp instead of a dock. Or that's why they want street level instead of whatever. Or that's why they need, their boxes get stacked up 20 feet high. That's why they need 24 foot clear, whatever the case may be. Okay, so make sure you always learn to ask the appropriate questions, and make sure you always go to someone's location and see and understand. See it, breathe it, smell it. You'll be so much more effective, and you'll make so much more money in the long run because you're not going to waste your time. If you control your time, you control your income. Let me say it again. If you can control your time, you can control your income. Okay? So that was step number 7. Step number 6 is delegate when you can. Okay? So by a show of hands, can anyone tell me what the biggest 3 tasks, the highest producing tasks as brokers and agents that we do? Can anyone tell me? Anybody? Ready? Go. Okay, so 3 tasks are prospecting, presenting, and following up. If you are not prospecting, presenting, and following up, I have news for you. Anything you're doing other than that is not the highest money producing task. In terms of effort in, dollars out, you cannot be prospecting, presenting, or following up. Okay, so what do we try to do? What we try to do is spend as many of the hours, let's just say, we only spend 8 hours working a day. As we well know, that's not true. But if we were to spend eight hours, and if you were to spend 50% of your time doing prospecting, presenting, and following up, I guarantee you will make twice as much money as if you were spending 2.5 hours of time prospecting, presenting, and following up. Okay? Turn that around. If you were to spend 7 hours of your day prospecting, presenting, and following up and delegating everything else that's non-essential, I promise you, your income will go up drastically, okay? Because there's only so many hours in the day. The question is, how effectively do you use them? Billionaires have the same 24 as people that are broke. The difference is how they utilize those, okay? Millionaires, multimillionaires, the people that are best with managing their time and being effective with their time are going to earn the most amount of money. They have a high sense of urgency, and they're able to really squeeze the last drop out of every minute of their day. Okay, so when you can delegate anything that's not top 3, there's certain things you're gonna have to do, but the more you delegate, the more you're spending on the top producing time, the better off you're gonna do long run. Okay. Next, prepare call lists the night before. You don't want to get to the office and say, who am I going to reach out to today? What should I do? Okay, so, and I'm going to take that a step further and say, if you are preparing your call list and your to-do list the night before, you are going to be unknowingly using the power of your subconscious mind to help you. What do I mean by that? Here's what I mean. So what a lot of people don't realize or haven't learned yet is that when you go to sleep, your brain, your subconscious brain, kind of filters through the day's activities and gets to go to work going on the things that you're trying to solve for the next day, right? It kind of filters through the different information that it sought throughout the day. So if you make your to-do list the night before, your brain is going to start setting the wheels in motion so that you can actually have some insights, and you'll have some answers to things that you would not have had you made that to-do list 7 o'clock that morning, right? The morning of. Okay. Similarly, the buying or when you're reaching out to prospects, right? If you make that list the day before and just take a look over them, you're going to be leveraging the power of your subconscious mind, because maybe Bob Smith, who you spoke to last week, if you just think about Bob for 2 seconds, right? In the morning, you might be like, you know what? I just thought Bob would be perfect for this property. Or, Susie, I spoke to her 2 weeks ago. She mentioned that, her niece might be selling. Maybe what happens is your brain starts to go working and connecting dots for you. So if you prepare call lists as well as to-do lists the night before, you will absolutely be better prepared in the morning. And I promise you, if you're not, you're making a mistake, because if you're getting to the office groggy-eyed and haven't had your coffee and haven't had a good breakfast and aren't energized and are just going to try to figure out what the day is going to happen, the day is going to happen to you. You're not going to happen to the day. Okay? I hope you understand what I mean. Like the people that they set a laser-like track and just stay on that track. And of course, you're going to get veered off, but you get right back on that track. If you don't, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay? So something to keep in mind. So by all means, prepare the night before. Next one on the list, lesson number 4, according to Katie, on the 10 mistakes that she made her first year in commercial, was signing NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and CAs, confidentiality agreements, without fully understanding what the terms were, right? Now, what do I mean by that? So, interestingly enough, NDAs and CAs can rope you in for a very long period of time. People use them in order to kind of protect the information that their client has, but also they use that to kind of carve out anyone for a very long period of time. If you really think about it, obviously there's going to be some sensitive information that brokers are going to be distributing. But sometimes with these people, they might not even have a listing with this property, but they might carve out all the major brokers in the area and keep them from doing business with that particular owner because they don't have an exclusive listing agreement. And they're saying, you know what, I'm just going to get it, whoever brings me a client, I'm going to have them sign an NDA. You have to know what the length of time it is. You might only have a listing agreement for 6 months, but the NDA goes for 2 years. So you can't approach that owner until 2 years later when the deal's probably already gone and done. So that's something to think about is make sure you always understand what you are signing. And that goes with anything in business or in life. Make sure you read the fine print. I promise you the fine print is there for a reason and it's not to help you typically. So it's to protect the other party. So make sure you read the fine print whenever you are signing anything, please. You will thank me and your broker will thank me too if you have one. Okay, next one. To-do lists. Okay, what do I mean? I would love nothing more than for everybody listening to me to not only to use their calendar as their to-do list, not their inbox. I hope you understand what I mean. So raise your hand if you're guilty, okay? Because I have been guilty plenty. There's proactive and there's reactive, okay? When you have a calendar and you have appointments and you have things that you need to accomplish, you are being proactive. You are planning your day. And you are plotting and you're going through your day in a very systematic fashion. As opposed to, let me click open this inbox with 150 emails and see what I'm going to do today. That is, I promise you, the worst possible plan because you are working on someone else's schedule. John Jones from across town sent you this email. Oh, let me get back to him, and you send it out. Oh, Susie Q over here, and you're reacting, and you're doing work for everybody else. You're not doing it for yourself. The best thing you can do is plan your work and work your plan. You'll be far more productive. You'll get so much more done. And at the end of the day, you'll make more money and impact yourself and the lifestyle of you and your family the best. So I promise you, you need to use your calendar as your brain and your plan and use your inbox as, okay, well, that's somebody else's plan, not my plan. You do have to answer your emails. Don't get me wrong. Don't take it like I'm saying ignore your emails. That's not wise. But what I am saying is this is the track of your day with your calendar, and you answer emails and you do things. And I guarantee you, if you were to only answer emails within a couple short little areas, that you would wind up having a more productive day, and you would wind up squeezing the time that it takes to fill out emails. Maybe you only answer in a few words or a sentence. They don't have to be paragraphs. You need to be effective. The best way we can earn money as brokers is to increase how effective we are and how efficiently we utilize our time. Okay? So, number 2 on the top 10 mistakes that new commercial brokers make. When I say brokers, I mean agents. They're used synonymously on the commercial side. Item number 2 is the chasing big deals. Okay? And the best analogy I can possibly use for this is, and I've seen it, I've done it, I've watched other young brokers do it. You get into commercial. Why? Because you understand that it's lucrative, right? Nothing wrong with that. I mean, everybody that, they want a better life for themselves, better life for their families, cool, okay? But what a lot of people do, it's like a brand new mountain climber being like, I want to climb Everest. I want to go up there. Okay, fine. Maybe not the first month in mountain climbing. You don't go to the summit. What do I mean? A lot of brokers chase these huge deals. They're really good with a calculator, and they fully understand what $10 million times 3% equals. Well, yeah, there's a $300,000 incentive to go after that $10 million property. that, if what a $20 million property, $30 million property. And I've seen it over and over again. And what winds up happening is they miss all the signs, because all they're thinking of is, I can make $300,000, I can make $500,000, I can make $800,000 if I just close this deal. And they hope and they pray, and I promise you, hoping and praying is not a repeatable business model. Okay, what is understanding the fundamentals of closing a real estate transaction, understanding all the steps that need to go and in what order, okay? Which is why I take the exact opposite approach. When I first started brokerage, I said to myself, I don't care what I make on these deals. I want to do a bunch of transactions so I get really good at the process. So in my first year, I did like a dozen deals. I made $200 on one deal. It was barely worth the gas that I spent, but what it is what it allows you to do is it allows you to learn the process and start improving your process. Because closing a $200 transaction is no different than a $2,000 transaction, is no different than a $20,000 transaction, or a $200,000 transaction. And I've closed all of them, okay? But the point is, you have to be able to start. It's with blocking and tackling. The small deal, if you do A to Z, and you get good at it, A to Z, A to Z, A to Z, I tell you what, you're gonna get better at the whole process. But on these big deals, people do A, B, C, D, deal falls apart. A, B, C, deal falls apart. A, B, C. What winds up happening is they never get E through Z. They never get D through Z. They never get the second half of the process. And if they don't get the second half of the process, I have news for you. They're never gonna build that skill set. So they're doing themselves a huge disservice, by only going after big deals, because at the end of the day, oftentimes they're low probability, they're not going to close, and what you wind up doing is you wind up spinning your wheels, making no money, and more importantly, you're not learning all the requisite steps to close a deal from A all the way to Z. Hope that makes sense for you guys. And finally, the number one mistake that Katie mentioned to me that she didn't have her first year, and how things completely changed for her after her first year, was she got a mentor. That mentor happened to be me, but the point is, you have to have somebody showing you. There's an old saying, and I quote it all the time, and it's the reason why we can see so far is because we stood on the shoulders of giants, right? I didn't invent the wheel. I learned it from somebody else who didn't invent the wheel, who learned it from somebody else, and so on and so on. The fastest way to shortcut your learning curve is to learn from someone who's already done it. I promise you, if you had to reinvent the wheel every single time, it'll take you 3 times as long. There's nothing, and frankly, the only non-renewing resource we have in this world is time. You can make more money. You can buy more things, right? But you can never get that time back. You can never get the 2 years you spent banging your head against the wall because, well, I didn't know how to do that and I had to figure it out and I had no one to show me. Guess what? There are resources out there. And whether it's my course or whether it's someone else's course, the whole idea is to get someone who has already done it, maybe done it better, knows how to do it quicker, and it'll make you faster at it. I promise you, if I could go back and trade, all the years of frustration I could for a dollar sum, I would do it in a heartbeat to know everything that I know today, the first day that I was in brokerage. And the way you can leverage someone else's knowledge is by finding a mentor, a trainer, or a coach, okay? Any of those 3 people will help you get back that one renewable resource. So it's like this. Would you rather wait three years to start making $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 a year? Or would you rather pay somebody X amount of money now and be able to start doing that in 6 months or a year instead of 2, 3, 4 years, right? To me, the choice seems pretty obvious, but I do recommend find someone who's already done it, who find someone who is where you want to be, and get them to show you how they got there. It's cause and effect. If one person can do it, or has done it, another person can too. So I highly, highly recommend you doing that. Okay? If you guys have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments below. I want to let you know I have some really awesome announcement I'm going to be making next week. okay? And it has to do with coaching. I, of course, have my 6-month coaching program that we have called CRE Basic Training, but I have a really, really amazing announcement I'm going to be making next Monday, which is going to be June 1st. Next Tuesday, because next Monday is Memorial Day. Next Tuesday, I'm going to be making an announcement. You guys are absolutely going to love it. If any of you guys are looking for help on the commercial side, please let me know. Type interested in the comments below. I'll make sure you get the email that day. I'll be sure to give you the invite to the live, because I'm going to be, and it's something I've never done before. It's a big partnership I can't wait to tell you guys about, but you're going to love it, and we'll talk about it this time next week. Actually, next Tuesday, because we're all going to be taking Memorial Day off so we can celebrate. So, bottom line is, if you are interested in learning more, you want to learn from someone who's already done it, type interested below. I can break it down for you. I can show you the way. I can show you the path. I can show you the systems and what you need to get you from where you are to where you're going in the shortest amount of time possible. Okay? So again, thanks guys for tuning in. I hope you got something out of this. I hope I showed you some of the pitfalls and potholes to avoid on the road to success. And I look forward to seeing you this time next Tuesday, June the 1st. Hope you guys are well. Thanks again. Talk to you soon.